She produced charcoals for the books like this. Some could say it's more insulting to hide things, to show that, that progress hasn't happened.
You have balls. Τι μαλακία είπα τώρα. You come across Tillman.
Oh, he's adds an extra chili pepper.
Okay. Did I say it wrong?
No.
Good evening and welcome to our YouTube channel.
Howdy.
I am Christina Marazioris and this is
Lee Browning Ezel.
my associate and husband.
In that order.
In that order. This is our very first podcast and it's going to be all about books and particularly my books. And yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy being a part of this new journey for us. And yeah, I guess we should
I'm here for comedic relief.
and moral support, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is, it's a new thing for us, for me especially, because he has experience with being in front of the camera more than I do. So, yeah.
I think you're doing great.
Thank you. Okay. This is about the Love Letting series, like the channel is named after, and this is basically the series I'm working on for the last, how long has it been?
3 years, but
3
feels like
years.
30.
Yeah. So the Love Letting series encapsulates a bundle of big, chunky tomes, 20 of them actually, written, with 4 of them being published and out there to be judged. And the main plot is character-driven, which characters are honestly very much like fleshed out and intertwined with the protagonist's path. So, but other than that, it has a lot of different aspects of it and elements that fit with a lot of different genres. So we will get into this here in a minute, but I was thinking maybe to introduce like the first installment of the series, which is Haunt, and it's actually right here. Yeah, okay.
The little mascot.
And the little mascot. And many of you know that I've actually updated the cover because before, what was it?
It was a very handsome gentleman on the front. It was so distracting and some even might say enchanting that they got distracted by it. They never read the actual book. We were forced to change it.
Right. Basically, it was his face here. So, but I felt like, well, we were doing like this series of portraits, and I felt like readers misunderstood the concept of each book, thinking more that it was strictly like dark romance, which it's not at all.
We noted it as dark romance in the beginning before we knew what that exactly meant.
Yes.
That was a mistake in hindsight.
That was a newbie mistake. Yeah, it was. I thought it was something that it had to do something with like gothic romance.
It's not.
No, it's not. And I still remember the first time we published it, I got like this 1-star review, to forever remember. And it was from this person that read, dark romance books, which is fine. But yeah,
it's a very dark book.
It's a very dark book, and it has a lot of romance, and it has a lot of intimate. How to say that? Like a lot of detailed open door intimacy, which could be categorized as dark romance, but it's written in a way that it's not. If that makes sense.
Dark romance is often with something a little extra that we don't see on YouTube.
The what now?
It goes beyond standard intimacy.
Who?
Dark romance.
Yeah.
According to Google AI, I don't look up such things. I was scared.
Well, we will get into the spice rating on this book. That's how they call it, spice rating. I had to discover that for this podcast. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys the updated version of the cover, and it's actually a photograph that we did of a painting that Miroslav Peko, I think it's Peko or Pecho, I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, but he's a brilliant traditional painter who we hired to do this really, really romantic, darkly romantic, gothic romantic.
Yeah, which fits. He's kind of a horror, gothic, all things spooky and scary and mysterious type of painter, and very, very specialized and very good at that.
Yes.
So I'm sure that the favorite subject he's ever done is a romantic couple.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But he knocked it out of the park. He did great.
Yeah, he did. And also the logo, it's updated. And my dear friend Moga, who I really, really appreciate, updated all of the logos. And he does it you can just give him a concept or an idea or even just words, and he's just going to just...
Yeah, he's really creative.
Yeah, I don't know
really
how he does it. Within 10 minutes, I have this brilliant logo, and I want to just post it everywhere or print it everywhere and put it on my face. I don't know, whatever. It's so brilliant. I love it. So thank you, Moga, for that. And yeah, what else changed?
We've got a map.
We have a map, finally, because my readers were getting lost.
Yeah, she's got a very big and varied world.
By Faye Compass, also a brilliant artist.
Yeah, she's specifically a cartographer.
And all that was done by hand. By hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, not like digitally, basically.
Yeah, which nothing wrong with that either.
No.
But like, there's something about the process, and huge piece of paper the size of this table, and took months to draw every little tree, every little detail, every little speck.
And it fits with the type of book that this is. And
very Lord of the Rings style map.
Yeah, and there's also drawings, charcoal and graphite drawings.
All hand done, all
hand
traditional.
done.
Because it's a Victorian era book. It kind of suits it to have art that could have been produced then. Now,
for those that haven't read the book, this might be a small little spoiler, but it's okay. It's page 18. Okay, this is the charcoal drawing of McKinnon, and done by Nabila the artist, and she is absolutely, she's brilliant. Yeah, we actually have the original drawings, which are freaking huge, and you can see every little speck of charcoal, like in the eyes, and just brilliant. And we also we're working with two artists, which are very patient to work with. Yeah.
Being good to work with is important.
Yeah. One moment.
This next artist is named Bia, Bia Upsina. And not only has she produced charcoals for the books like this, and this is our
protagonist, actually, and it's Charlotte. And I don't want to give it away.
Her art style is basically like a Renaissance artist that time traveled to today. And I mean that as the highest compliment. I think it's really, really cool. So not only did she do a lot of charcoal art for us, she's also done the cover for the next book, which we'll show you either in this video or the next.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
she's done a lot for us.
Both are brilliant. Like, I wish I had unlimited money to just pay them every single day for something, because this book has so many scenes that are worthy of being drawn. And I don't mean it like to boast about it, but it's written in a cinematic type of way.
You're a very visual person. I think.
I'm very visually,
She's very talented as a photographer as well.
Well, thank you, but
so I think it translates.
I just mean that I see things and then I write about them. I don't think about them and write about them, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
No, different processes.
Yeah. So And this is something.
That's why you chose me, because of the visual.
Of course. And this is something I want to address here, is that this book is written in a very literary fiction type style, like with a lot of lyrical prose. And hopefully it's not like this purple prose. But it can get tiring for some readers that are not used to it, and I completely understand. But this is just how it naturally comes out with me, and I don't know, it's difficult for me to just write a simple sentence and not throw in some poetry. So
language is a big deal for you.
Yeah, obviously I'm a foreigner, and English is not.
I've got to brag on her. I mean, like, she grew up in Greece, Athens, Greece. Half
gosh.
Greek and half Austrian, so she grew up learning Greek and also German, and then British English academically on top of that. So it's really her third language, and she didn't really speak it naturally until she came here to the good old southern US of A, where we taught her to speak it bad.
Well, and on that, it has been very helpful for me to see the different dialects and slang words and phrases, like his
Y'all.
father or my father-in-law has a deer camp thingy, and which was a very fun and interesting experience for me.
Culture shock.
It was a culture shock because I also was a vegan back then, but anyway, that's a different subject.
Good first date.
And it took some getting used to, but I also understood like the culture differences, and I really appreciated the different dialect and mannerisms. So I studied this somehow subconsciously, and it turned out that it was a good idea because I implemented a lot of these elements into this book and into so many characters. So
it's kind of a settlement out in the woods, so probably one of the closest things you can get in the modern era to the Old West.
Yeah, it's
Frontier.
kind of, yes, and that's actually something I want to talk about, is the what you call it, the setting. We have two different worlds in it, and they're actually could be like conflicting with each other, but also they collide in the same period. And basically it's like Victorian England or the American West, right? So you have the Wild West basically on the far left, and then Victorian England on the far right. And it's very interesting to see characters that were raised here suddenly go over here and try to interact with the elite society. Sorry, that's the cat. And I hear you.
Singing the song of their people.
Yes. If it's not the cats, it's the dogs, so be prepared.
We have fluffs.
Yeah, our little babies. Anyway. Okay. We're frozen. What was I saying?
Well, just how the contrast of people who are on the frontier,
Yes.
meaning people who are in the more, ritzy, glamorous parts
Yeah,
of
and
society.
you see, the established towns with the modern technology, and then the strict moral codes or the etiquette. You have masquerade balls. Well, that's a little bit later, but okay. You have balls. Am I pronouncing this okay?
I think you say ball's great.
Okay. Okay. Did I say it wrong?
No.
Okay. Hold on. There's a lot of bad humor in the books, if you haven't guessed why already. Okay. So, but yeah, it's a very interesting concept for me to include these two worlds and see the differences through the characters of the protagonist's eyes. And it's very humorous to have the dialogue, the slang of somebody who is not as cultured.
Yeah.
Or trying to converse with somebody who knows French, or speaks very highly a formal English.
Well, it goes both ways, because then you can take the very elite person and put them out in the woods with a bear.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And out of their comfort zone as well.
Yeah, you're gonna find that out here. Which, by the way, since I mentioned French, there's also a lot of different languages which are not translated. So if you don't know French or Norwegian or Spanish or Irish, you may be a little bit upset. But okay, you could insert these sentences on Google Translate maybe and get something. You know, they're all professionally edited and looked through by
We've had native speakers process everything.
Yeah, which shout out to, hold on, the list is big.
And there's more speakers we've had in later books.
Yes.
So this is just in this book.
Johnny Mikkelsen, our Viking from Norway. He's actually a very good friend of ours.
A real life friend, yeah.
And Sunniva, my best friend from Norway. Then we have Irish by Catriona Ní Cathail, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
And Patchy, who are native speakers.
We only know him as Patchy, and I think that
Yeah.
is just kind of poetic.
They're both fantastic. We actually met them when we were in Ireland. So.
The former is actually a professor of Gaelic, Irish Gaelic, and extremely high level. There's not a lot of professors of this, as you can imagine. Currently teaching, and so she's helped us with just really high level stuff. And Patchy is also very, very smart, but has also got his boots in the dirt a little bit in life in Ireland. So he's helped us with a lot of the other sides.
Yeah.
And history too.
Yes.
His family's been through a lot, so it kind of helped flesh out some of the backstory that you'll find.
Yeah, very, very amazing people. And French by my friend actually Nathalie Bazenet, and she's actually my mom's best friend. So yeah, that's that.
But she's born and raised in France as well, so she's legit.
Yes. And Spanish by my friend Kevin Terry, Sancho Davila.
Got to include it all.
Also an amazing friend of mine, native speaker. So, yeah.
And there's many different versions of Spanish depending on where you're from, and he's very smart about that.
Yes.
To say, hey, this character's from here, this character's from there.
I really appreciated all of their help.
And so when she says that it's scary, I just wanted to jump in there and say it's not like you're going to have like 3 chapters of a language that nobody, that English speakers don't typically know.
No.
What she means is that you might. She's really included the melting pot of all different types of backgrounds, and when they speak, sometimes things just flow better natively.
Yeah.
Or they speak to their compadres or whatever's happening.
Yes.
And there's just going to be something where you can understand exactly what's happening with context.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 sentences that are in the other language.
And to me, it's just much more immersive to just include foreign language. And I'm very much into foreign languages. I'm trying to learn Irish right now. It's very difficult.
Tell me about it.
But not impossible. So it's just, I love the
I'm Irish and she's better.
He is a little bit Irish. I mean, you see the ginger beard. Anyway, but I love this element to just incorporate it because, immigration in America was played a very crucial role, right, to build the United States. So I want to show that, not just like, okay, he is from Italy or whatever, I want to show that they're actually immigrants. So when you have a character trying to converse with somebody, with an immigrant, either from Norway or whatever, and they say something in their mother tongue.
Yes. It's okay.
Terrible. Okay.
This isn't your mother tongue. And I think that's a very easy mistake to make.
What, this isn't your mother tongue?
English,
yes, right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
That's an example.
It's an example, you see.
That was on purpose.
This is where I would say Timalakia ipatora, right? That's Greek. So that's basically an example, and he doesn't know.
And that has way more flavor than whatever I would say when I stump my toe.
Maybe. But you see, it's honest work.
She seemed very Greek about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
More than she did before.
I can be also German, but that's not so nice.
That's something I learned when you're married to someone who's both. Greek is very poetic, very romantic, and very, very melodic, and it's really nice when she speaks Greek to me. And I love German everything, but when she's mad, there's one language that she goes to, and it's not English and it's not Greek. It's scary. We don't utter these words here.
Okay. So what is Haunt about, or the series, but specifically Haunt? I'm going to attach the blurb of the book somewhere here, I guess. It's probably gonna have more information on what I can...
Or the description too.
Yeah. So basically we have Charlotte, this little lass here, and she is fleeing from her home in Nephilim Cove, and because her mother was murdered, and her mother was like a lady of the evening, so her upbringing was kind of not the best.
Less than savory.
Yeah, so a lot of like verbal and emotional abuse, which kind of sticks to her, right? So we will see her personality slowly shine through, I guess, the more you spend time with her. But anyway, she rides through the West, okay, with her only companion Finn, her horse, and until she stumbles upon this guy, who is Mac Kinnon, and he's a serial killer. And he's being thrown through a window, and he basically falls in front of her, spooks her horse, blah, blah, blah. And they have this, I guess, staring contest and a bit of a threatening situation. She manages to kind of smartly evade. And later on, however, she gets stuck with him in a mountain somewhere very remote and snowed in a cabin. And then there's tension. And there's some very nice, unique moments that I think readers will appreciate.
Definitely. And he's not your run-of-the-mill serial killer either.
A what?
He's not your run-of-the-mill serial killer either.
Run of the mill?
Generic. Like he's not just the generic bad guy.
No. There is a lot of details on this fella, and this is actually a much bigger subject that is going to require an entire series of videos, because he's very complicated. I really try to make him very unique, but also realistic. There's a lot of trauma that he carries, which you will unravel like maybe 1% of it in this book. Spoiler, maybe?
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay. So Mac is not your regular MMC morally grey character. He is basically emotionless, very much numb. He doesn't feel anything that would make him compassionate or anything like this. So he's a very unique situation. And it's very interesting to see him in certain circumstances where you would expect him to react in a certain way, like a very humane type of way, but he doesn't. Or he actually can just switch somehow. What do you think?
Yeah,
It's hard for me to talk about my own little character.
He has a lot of trauma, and he has a lot of triggers that will be explained throughout, but he's got his own way of coping with things. Mm-hmm. And he's also been doing this a long time, so he's rather desensitized to the horrors that he creates, honestly.
Yeah, but he meets Charlotte, and things get very interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
It's an interesting mix.
Mm-hmm. So overall, the series, I mentioned before that it's kind of genre bending, and I know some of you will be like, okay, she's talking all about this. What is this? I mean, what are we looking at? A historical fiction book, or what are we looking at? First of all, it's not a dark romance book, as we have established. It has elements of historical fiction, since it is based, on a historical setting. 19th century, I think I mentioned that.
Yeah, 1899.
Yeah.
Late 19th.
Mm-hmm. But it is mostly historical fantasy, because, the world is fictional. Characters are fictional, this and that. yeah, I haven't included, I think, no, I have included some real characters, so, but that's later on. But it is also a Gothic romance. I really, really love Gothic elements, whether it's, you know, crows, I guess, or ravens, or Gothic attire. Just
It also has a melancholic mood.
that, yeah, the melancholic mood and characters that are kind of strange, very strange. Yeah.
The poetic nature of sadness.
Yes, and just very much like Gothic romance. I think that's the most
Not a
Gothic element.
butterflies in the tummy type of romance.
No, which, yeah, I will get to the other point later.
Sure.
But there's also, what other, psychological horror, a lot of it.
Yeah, and that is no jump scares.
No.
No obvious, monster, out in front of you, but a lot
No.
of things lurking in the dark.
Yeah, like magical realism.
Very subtle magical realism.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
No big dragons or anything
No.
like this, but more little things that are a little bit off. Things that just aren't quite right. In a way, it's a little bit spookier. I always get more spooked by
Yeah,
things
I
that
agree.
you can't see it. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to do to deal with it. If you can see it, you can fight it.
Am I forgetting something?
Well, it's got a lot of genres. It even has a comedic element, honestly, which is
Yeah.
really, I think, needed because it deals with
Yes.
some really heavy
Yes.
things. And it's not slapstick, silly comedy. It's
Well, I mean,
very clever.
when you meet JB Chott,
Yeah, he's more straight up funny.
he's ridiculous.
He's straight up funny.
He's ridiculous.
He's great. We've actually had some people say that he's the favorite character ever.
Well, I remember one review I received that they basically hated the book, maybe, and the only
Yeah, they gave it
reason
5 stars for him.
the only reason why they rated it 5 stars was because of JB Chott, which, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so and of course Western elements. There's a lot of Western elements in
Yeah.
there.
It does have the West. It does have cowboys. It
Yeah.
does have Indians.
But it
eventually.
also, yes, but it also has like the activities, you know, like cattle ranching, rodeos, just
the
you
nature
know,
of outlaws
wrangling.
and marshals and all this dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Marshals.
The frontier. Marshals is a sensitive word. We're not going to go into that yet. It's a word that starts with a T. Are you quite all right? Sheeta loses it whenever Tillman comes up. He's not important in the first book, so we're not going
He's
to talk about him.
always important. He's on the first chapter.
He's an example
Almost.
that happens a lot where you're introduced to a character briefly that becomes very important later.
Very important.
But you see him for a few moments in this book, and at the moment you'd have no idea that he came back around to be a minor character.
He's not minor. And that's actually a good point because you're going to meet. The entire series has about 200 plus characters, developed characters, not just filler characters. So maybe with, I don't know, 20 filler characters like a shop owner or whatever. So when you come across some chapters in Haunt, and you will meet like several characters that you might think, well, why did we spend 2 pages reading about this interaction? Well, later on, like maybe book, I don't know, 7 or whatever, these characters are gonna return and are going to be so relevant into the plot. So, you know, you just, I don't write characters to just write them. They are relevant to the story.
So if you ever stumble on someone, and she's not going to spend 3 chapters on somebody that doesn't matter then, but
No.
if you ever notice that someone speaks interestingly in passing, pay attention because they might come back.
They will come back.
It's a very big world, but it's very interwoven.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of side characters with their own little story. Many readers actually say that these books have been written kind of episodic, and I agree with that. That's why I said kind of it's almost cinematic, you know, like written to appear like a movie in your head. Does that make sense?
And it's not just from Charlotte's perspective. It will bounce around to see other characters.
But they all intertwine with the protagonists, so the main characters. So.
Well, if you ever see, like, there's a neat little graph of Lord of the Rings where you have, you know, the Fellowship is here, but then they split off, and the hobbits go this way, and Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli go this way, but then they come back together, and well, they don't actually, but it's like that. You have many different lives, all on their own threads, all on their own paths.
Yeah,
I find it
I like it a lot.
Compelling way to do things.
I like it a lot, and it to me it doesn't make a book appear mundane. It gives it some interest all the time, and you know, some side stories may be boring to some people, and I understand that, but I don't know. I think everybody has a right to their own story to be told. You know.
True.
So there's a lot of also flashbacks, which are very crucial.
Backstory.
Yeah, backstory. Sorry. Yeah.
No, flashback's good. I'm just saying.
I was thinking like, you know, Mac and all that, having a flashback.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But backstory is also kind of what I meant. So.
Both.
Yeah.
All right. So we had to reload the camera because we are shooting in 4K, and that eats up a video card pretty quick. So we're back, and I don't know exactly where we were, but I wanted to ask to maybe clarify what type of romance this is exactly. Because romance to me, it's a genre that's supposed to be about two people, obviously, in a romance, and they go through things and have happily ever after at the end.
Well, first of all, the ending has not been written yet of the entire series. So this book does not have a happy ever after ending thing. But I can't say too much. However, don't just be too disappointed when you reach that ending, because there's a lot more to the story, okay? But as far as the romance, it's very much a slow burn romance, extremely slow burn, with the love interest being extremely, extremely difficult. There is this misunderstanding trope I know everybody hates, but it is, I mean, you cannot not have misunderstandings with somebody who has such level of trauma as Mac has, you know.
And he doesn't speak a lot.
He does not speak a lot, no.
There's a lot of room for misunderstanding when communication isn't there.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how much you empathize with him for somebody who doesn't speak.
Yeah, I think that's the most heartwarming feedback I've ever gotten about this book and about Mac is, despite of who he is, people actually absolutely love him. So that is really sweet. But yeah, as far as the romance, yeah, it's a slow burn romance, and it's not just, how to say this, I don't remember the word now. It's not just one romance. How do you call it?
Well,
when there's more people involved.
Yeah, and without calling it like a love triangle or something like that.
No.
It's not this, but you know, she's a young woman who's going through the West and adventuring, and it's not like she just meets someone and things are just okay. Starts there. She meets other people as well.
Yeah.
It becomes kind of complicated as she goes, you know, throughout the world, and you know, for her, it's not only romance but also survival.
Yes.
As well, who she incorporates herself with.
Yeah, very, very true. And she doesn't know what she wants because she never left her hometown, and the only type of male interests, I guess, she had ever been surrounded by was not the best examples of
clients.
Yeah, clients, basically. Her mother's clients. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is this enemies to lovers trope thing. I don't write based on tropes, so I'm just.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You know.
if something is a color, it doesn't mean you did it to make it that color. It's just
No.
it is that color.
Right. So I think people will understand it more if I mention a trope.
It would
So,
be more strange for meeting a serial killer to be friends to friends
Yeah.
in a way.
Well, unless he's a psychopath and he's charming, basically.
True.
Which we will see also later on, you know.
There's many different flavors.
There's many different flavors. And yeah, I'm not gonna spoil
The
it.
good thing about Mac is he's honest
He's
about
honest.
what he is.
Yes, and he
There's no
is-
pretense.
He also cusses a lot. There's a lot of banter, especially Irish banter, which I really love. And yeah,
Irish has a lot of colorful phrases,
it does.
we've learned.
And not much romance.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's all for the romance. A lot of tension, lots of tension. Very deep felt emotions for me personally while I was writing it. So I hope you feel the same.
I'm going to say that, I'm a 240-pound guy. And, I've stubbed my toe a lot of times in my life, but this made me cry. I'm going to say that. I'm comfortable enough saying that.
Yeah,
When you get to the end, it'll get to you.
yeah.
Be ready.
Be ready.
Might have made me cry twice because I've read it more than once. No teary eyed right there. Get back in there.
Yeah,
For having very experienced characters in a lot of dark, gritty life ways, they experience love in a very innocent way.
yeah. Yeah, and I like this because I think it's rare, you know, and it's sweet. So, all right. Well, will
do
you
you
say
think?
something?
I'm ready. No, I've just been letting you roll, honestly.
Yeah.
No, something I wanted to address is this is a huge book. Like, it's not a camera trick. It's huge. This thing is almost 800 pages. And they're all 800 pages. No, forgive me. The first one is about 720 pages. So she's got some 800 pages. 20 of them written.
Yeah.
4 published at the time of this recording. It's a lot of reading.
Yeah. And it is slow paced, but not.
Okay, here's the way I
Yeah.
would put it. It is not tortuously pull out your fingernails slow
no.
where you spend 3 pages describing the trunk of a tree
No.
that you're never going to pass by again.
There is
It's got-
lyrical writing.
It's building.
There is, especially with Haunt, there's a lot of world building, but also character development, and I think this is just crucial for every book, especially in this genre bending whatever. And that's it. It slows the pace, but I find a certain beauty in this, and I just don't want to compromise it by cutting out chapters, and in order for the page count to be less. I'm not gonna do that.
There's a lot of pressure in the book business to write a book that is exactly, not just the tropes and the
Yeah.
genre, but exactly this page count,
Yeah.
exactly this, you're supposed to have these, 3 acts that happen this way and that way, and that's great. But, the same way you might have a song for the radio that is supposed to be 3 minutes and it's got this
Yeah.
particular tempo and everything. There's other genres of music that explore, and you might have a 10-minute song that's the most epic thing you ever heard, but it would not hit you if they try to make that, that 9-minute mark happen in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It has to build up. It has to happen naturally. It may not be the most popular song.
Well, here's the thing that it's also, not every reader is gonna like this type of book, or not every person is gonna like this type of song.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's okay.
So yeah, that's fine, absolutely fine. But it does require a certain patient reader to get through, the world building, the character development, the lyrical prose, and all this
Yeah.
slow-paced style of writing.
And I
So-
wouldn't put it in my nerdy book category.
no,
I
no.
like some nerdy stuff, you know,
Yeah.
just to put it into, you know, popular phrase, you know, if you take, you know,
I
regular
would-
Tolkien or,
I would compare it to Outlander, I think.
yeah, I think that's a really good.
Not the plot or anything like this. Although I will have to say that when I wrote this, I never really got interested in Outlander or anything like this. I knew it existed, but I never read the books or saw the TV series. But my mom,
Leave it to mom.
she was watching the TV series and she said, Jamie Fraser really, it's a little bit similar to Mac, you know, with the scars. I'm like, what?
Thanks, mom.
So then I'm researching this. I'm like, crap, you know, I don't want this to sound like, you know, but then again
and
you have
Irish and
the
Scottish.
but then you have The Witcher that also is, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, exactly.
just-
The Witcher's got a deep voice and goes all the time, and so does Mac. Also make a grunt.
True,
Which
true.
you know,
Yeah.
grunts happen. It's not.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not trademarked.
and also nothing really is original anymore, you know,
To be honest, anything.
and nothing is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I read the other day there's an ancient Sumerian text about Star Wars. Not really, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was true.
yeah, it just
I mean, art is iterative.
yeah,
Always.
that's just the fact. So yeah, I just thought it was a funny little story. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's fun to say because you had not been exposed to this
No,
story
no, no,
before. So imagine your feeling after pouring
Yes.
years of your life into this,
Yes.
then you watch that, which is again, it's a
and then
great show, great book.
No, I love it actually. I then started watching the TV series
Yeah.
because I don't have time to read the books at the moment, but I do want to.
But it's a good example as a parallel, just because
Mm-hmm.
it's they're also big books. They also kind of take their time with the writing.
Well, I had readers tell me the writing reminds me of Diana's,
Yeah.
basically. Or
Yeah.
I think it was Publishers Weekly.
Yeah, Publishers Weekly. Yeah,
Or they said, you know, they recommend this book to fans of Outlander,
yeah.
to Outlander fans. Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
Because again, it's also a long series of big books that is on a continuum.
Yeah.
They're all connected. You can't just hop from one to the other. You won't have a clue what's going on. It's basically chapters of one very big story.
yeah, and that also got me curious. So I did actually buy a book, the first from the Outlander series, and I flipped through it. I'm like, wow, that's some beautiful, beautiful writing. So that kind of made me happy, to be compared to that. So
Yeah,
Diana, she's
a smart lady.
and just her writing is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I can't wait to explore them more.
Well, it's fun to know because obviously that's a very successful series.
Yeah.
It's fun to know that there actually is a market for such tomes, as you
Somewhere,
say.
because I have probably 5 people watching this.
No.
So, which is another reason why we're doing this series of podcasts, I guess. I really want to find my people and make this little love-letting army, I think that would be nice to just discuss the book and the characters and the good things and the bad things and whatever it made you feel, the chapters or whatever, so...
I think that, like Outlander, it's not something that's just for everybody.
No.
But for those who really like it, it is going to be a very special thing. And that's going to be enough.
Yeah, and it's definitely for a mature audience,
Not young adult,
not young adult.
but adult, doing
Yeah.
their own taxes types of adults.
Yes, and previously I mentioned about the spice rating. I would say it's tasteful, intimacy, open door, detailed. I think it's like over 3 chili peppers or whatever, unless you come across Tillman.
Oh, adds an extra chili pepper.
Yes, or more. Yeah.
Tillman. Yeah, but it's not gratuitous either. It is appropriate to the story, being a romance, that some romantic things happen, And because it is built for adult readers, it felt kind of odd, I think, for you to just say, and then, they went back to the tent or whatever it is in the West.
Well, here's the thing. And, I also like this too, the closed door, intimacy. Everything has its place. But when you have a book where you have so much gore and detailed, I don't know if you can say the word here.
There's a lot of violence that happens.
Violence.
Just because of being, in the frontier in general, whether it's gangs, outlaws, or cults, or murders, or animals, or accidents. All these things can happen very easily. And it was a time before antibiotics.
Yeah.
It was a time before, our modern medicine, and little things became nasty really quick.
Yeah, there's actually a trigger warning thing.
Yeah, there's a big trigger warning in the front.
Where is it?
So it's not only subjects of intimacy that get pretty
Right here.
hairy.
So for those
It's a funny way to put it.
Yeah.
But also gore subjects
Yes.
that you don't hold back.
No, everything is written meticulously raw.
Yeah.
So.
Which I find, like, as somebody who's, read a lot of media and been exposed to a lot of things, you just kind of keep the level even. Your writing is at a high level. Your all the scenes are at a high level. It's very balanced. And the third thing I'm going to add that is for a mature audience is some of the philosophy and psychology.
Yeah.
There's a lot of philosophies that, she's Greek, so philosophy is kind of a thing, right? But she's incorporated that a lot into this. It will make you think.
Yeah.
Very rare is there.
You have to be very open-minded to go through these pages. And yeah.
The whole gray zone is not just for the male main character, if he's a good guy or a bad guy or morally gray, but philosophy has a lot of gray areas as well. A lot of different ways to think about things.
Yeah.
So interesting to introduce in this context.
Yeah. I agree.
I've enjoyed that a lot, actually. I've kind of nerded out on it.
Yeah, it's fun writing that too, honestly.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and especially as an author, you must put your, not that you condone every philosophy that's in here.
No.
But you've got to be able to put yourself in the shoes of whoever's speaking or whoever's acting.
Yeah. Yeah. And
which is kind of scary that you can do that.
Well, it doesn't mean that I'm like this, and...
But she can be, and I'm going to be very nice. No, just because you're right about something, it doesn't mean that you are like this.
And that applies to many, many elements in this book. Controversial elements,
Well, are you saying that the world in 1899 is not exactly the same socially as it is today?
No.
So what should we do about that? Should we pretend that it was like today and they have iPhones as well? Or should you show how it was?
I think you should show it, So if you are easily offended by that, then that's not the book for you. And I don't mean this in a insulting way or whatever. It's just Some
could say it's more insulting to hide things, to show that that progress hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Because that means that the whole fight to change didn't occur.
Yeah. But rest assured, I put a lot of research into every subject that I write about, and I want to do it justice, basically. So it's not just, pulling things out of my head and pretending that I know about them. I treat every subject respectfully, and every...
Oh, the research she's done is insane.
Yeah.
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 So it's been kind of fun because, it's not the girliest thing to do to research, how to... Yeah, you're able to research like how to shoot a buffalo as it's going across the plain.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
But hey, she's put it in there that the shot waited until his shoulder blade moved out of the way to actually get the heart or whatever. So it's just little details of realism in every little facet, whether it's about anything, honestly. But yeah, she's become kind of a nerd on a lot of subjects. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I like it. It has matured me in some way,
Yeah.
So I do like this process. But I have some questions from an Instagram friend, which touches base on a lot of writing stuff and I want to cover that on the next one, on the next video.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Oh,
What?
okay. Well, she's getting warmed up.
No, I'm just saying, you
All
know.
right.
And if you like this podcast, I think they say here, hit a like or a follow button. I don't know. Subscribe, I guess. And
So you're saying it's not good for us to stay at 0? And it might help us out if, they just kind of...
yeah, if you
Poke it a
want
little
to help us out. And I'm mostly on Instagram, which is at, what is it? Christina
Dot?
Maraziotis. Yeah. I will attach it somewhere. I don't know yet how to do that.
Yep, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. And I would enjoy to connect with you either way. So
Yeah.
thanks for listening to my
TED Talk.
that. And thank you for your support as always. And yeah, thanks to my readers, and I really appreciate everyone. So thank you.
All 5 of you are very, very
All
special.
5 of you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good night.
And good luck.
Good luck.